Captain Jae-ho Kim looked out the window of the Earth science vessel Horizon The planet below them, KX 379, shone with blue oceans and green lands. This was their third day exploring this new world, and so far, everything had gone well. "Captain, the air tests show the atmosphere is safe to breathe," said Dr. Subin Park. She was the team's expert on alien life. "Oxygen levels are similar to Earth." Jae-ho nodded. "Good work, Dr. Park. How about the plant and animal life?" "Nothing dangerous detected so far. The life forms are simple. No signs of intelligent beings." Subin checked her screen once more. "It's safe to continue our mission." The landing team consisted of 4 people: Captain Jae-ho Kim as the leader, Dr. Subin Park, who studied alien life, Ta-woo Lee, who handled communications, and Hae-nul Choi, who was in charge of security. "Let's prepare to go down," Jae-ho told his team. "We need to collect more samples today. Earth Command wants a full report by the end of the week." They put on their light protective suits. These weren't the heavy space suits used in harsh environments. KX 379 was a friendly planet with clean air and mild weather. The suits were just a precaution against unknown germs. The team's small shuttle landed in a wide valley surrounded by tall trees with purple leaves. Small creatures that looked like 6-legged squirrels scattered as the engines powered down. "This place is beautiful," said Ta-woo as he stepped onto the soft ground. The gravity was slightly less than Earth's, making everyone feel lighter and stronger. Hae-nul checked his weapon, a standard stun gun. "Remember, we're here to observe and collect samples, not to disturb the local life." The team set up their base camp quickly. They had done this many times before on other planets. Jae-ho was proud of how well they worked together. They had been on dozens of missions, exploring new worlds for Earth's growing need for resources and knowledge. "I'm picking up something strange," Ta-woo suddenly said, looking at his scanner. "There's an energy reading coming from the north. It's artificial." Jae-ho froze. "Artificial? Are you sure?" "Yes, Captain. It's definitely not natural. And it's moving toward us." Hae-nul moved closer to the captain, hand on his weapon. "Should we return to the shuttle?" "No," Jae-ho decided after a moment. "We came here to make discoveries. If there's intelligent life, we should try to make contact. But stay alert." They didn't have to wait long. From between the trees came a ship unlike anything they had seen before. It was smooth and blue-white, shaped like a teardrop, and it made almost no sound as it glided toward them. The human team stood together, watching as the alien ship landed about 50 meters away. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then a door opened, and 3 tall figures stepped out. "They're beautiful," Subin whispered. The aliens were about 2 meters tall with slender bodies. Their skin was blue and slightly see-through, showing complex systems of veins and nerves underneath. They had 4 arms and walked on 2 legs. Their heads were large with no hair, and their eyes were huge and silver. "Ta-woo, try to communicate," Jae-ho ordered quietly. Ta-woo activated the universal translator on his wrist device. This technology was new and not perfect, but it was designed to find patterns in any language and try to translate. One of the aliens stepped forward and made a series of musical sounds. The translator beeped as it tried to understand. After a moment, the translator spoke in a flat, computer voice. "We are the Ardovians. We observe new worlds and life forms. You are unknown to us." Jae-ho stepped forward slowly, hands open to show he carried no weapons. "I am Captain Jae-ho Kim of the Earth science vessel Horizon. We come from a planet called Earth. We are humans, and we are here to study this world peacefully." Captain Jae-ho Kim looked out the window of the Earth science vessel Horizon. The planet below them, KX 379, shone with blue oceans and green lands. This was their third day exploring this new world, and so far, everything had gone well. "Captain, The air tests show the atmosphere is safe to breathe, said Dr. Subin Park. She was the team's expert on alien life. Oxygen levels are similar to Earth. Jai-ho nodded. Good work, Dr. Park. How about the plant and animal life? Nothing dangerous detected so far. The life forms are simple. No signs of intelligent beings. Subin checked her screen once more. It's safe to continue our mission. The landing team consisted of 4 people. Captain Jai-ho Kim as the leader, Dr. Subin Park, who studied alien life, Ta-Woo Lee, who handled communications, and Hae-Nul Choi, who was in charge of security. Let's prepare to go down, Jai-ho told his team. We need to collect more samples today. Earth Command wants a full report by the end of the week. They put on their light protective suits. These weren't the heavy space suits used in harsh environments. HFY 379 was a friendly planet with clean air and mild weather. The suits were just a precaution against unknown germs. The team's small shuttle landed in a wide valley surrounded by tall trees with purple leaves. Small creatures that looked like 6-legged squirrels scattered as the engines powered down. This place is beautiful, said Ta-Woo as he stepped onto the soft ground. The gravity was slightly less than Earth's, making everyone feel lighter and stronger. Hae-Nul checked his weapon, a standard stun gun. Remember, we're here to observe and collect samples, not to disturb the local life. The team set up their base camp quickly. They had done this many times before on other planets. Jai-ho was proud of how well they worked together. They had been on dozens of missions, exploring new worlds for Earth's growing need for resources and knowledge. I'm picking up something strange, Ta-Woo suddenly said, looking at his scanner. There's an energy reading coming from the north. It's artificial. Jai-ho froze. Artificial? Are you sure? Yes, Captain. It's definitely not natural. And it's moving toward us. Hae-Nul moved closer to the captain, hand on his weapon. Should we return to the shuttle? No, Jai-ho decided after a moment. We came here to make discoveries. If there's intelligent life, we should try to make contact. But stay alert. They didn't have to wait long. From between the trees came a ship unlike anything they had seen before. It was smooth and blue-white, shaped like a teardrop, and it made almost no sound as it glided toward them. The human team stood together, watching as the alien ship landed about 50 meters away. For a few minutes, nothing happened. Then a door opened, and 3 tall figures stepped out. There, beautiful, Subin whispered. The aliens were about 2 meters tall with slender bodies. Their skin was blue and slightly see-through, showing complex systems of veins and nerves underneath. They had 4 arms and walked on 2 legs. Their heads were large with no hair, and their eyes were huge and silver. Ta-Woo, try to communicate, Jai-ho ordered quietly. Ta-Woo activated the universal translator on his wrist device. This technology was new and not perfect, but it was designed to find patterns in any language and try to translate. One of the aliens stepped forward and made a series of musical sounds. The translator beeped as it tried to understand. After a moment, the translator spoke in a flat, computer voice. We are the Ardovians. We observe new worlds and life forms. You are unknown to us. The alien's silver eyes blinked slowly. It spoke again, and the translator worked faster this time. I am Science Observer Kel-Nar of the Ardovian Collective. We have studied many species, but have never encountered humans before. Your biology is interesting. Subin couldn't contain her excitement. Captain, this is amazing. First contact with an advanced alien civilization. The Ardovians seemed to communicate among themselves for a moment, their skin changing colors slightly as they spoke. Then Kel-Nar addressed the humans again. We request permission to observe your research activities. We wish to learn about humans. Jai-ho thought carefully before answering. This was a big decision. Earth's guidelines for first contact were clear. Be friendly but cautious. We would be happy to share our knowledge, Jai-ho said finally. You may observe our work if we may also learn about your species. Kelnar made a gesture that might have been agreement. This is acceptable. For the next few hours, the two groups worked side by side. The humans collected plant and soil samples while the Ardovians watched with great interest. Subin showed them how humans analyze specimens, and in return the Ardovians demonstrated some of their advanced scanning technology. Their science is at least 100 years ahead of ours. Subin told Jiho quietly as they watched an Ardovian analyze a leaf using a device that fit in one hand. But they seem very rigid in their thinking. They follow exact procedures for everything. Jiho had noticed this too. The Ardovians were clearly brilliant, but they showed no creativity or flexibility in their methods. Everything they did followed strict patterns. Taiwu approached them, looking concerned. "Captain, I've been monitoring the weather patterns. There's a storm forming to the east, and it's moving this way fast. It doesn't look like anything in our records." Jiho looked at the sky. The beautiful blue had turned dark at the edges. "How long do we have?" "Less than an hour before it hits, and it's going to be bad." Jiho immediately began giving orders. "Pack up the equipment. We need to get back to the shuttle." He approached Kelnar, who was studying the small insect-like creature. "Science observer, our instruments detect a large storm approaching. We are returning to our ship. I suggest you do the same." The Ardovian looked up slowly. "Yes, our instruments also detect this weather pattern. It is unexpected. We will return to our vessel." Both teams worked quickly to secure their equipment. The sky grew darker by the minute, and the wind began to pick up. Strange purple lightning flashed between the clouds. "This storm is moving faster than predicted." Tau shouted over the rising wind. "We need to hurry." The ground beneath them started to shake. Hainul pointed to the hills above them. "Captain, look." The heavy rain had loosened the soil on the hillside. As they watched, the ground began to slide down toward them. "Run," Jiho ordered. "Get to the shuttle." Everyone ran. The Ardovians moved with surprising speed toward their ship. The humans sprinted for their shuttle, carrying what equipment they could. A massive lightning bolt struck a tree near Jiho. The sound was deafening. The ground shook more violently, and suddenly the earth split open between Jiho and the rest of his team. "Captain," Hainul shouted, reaching out his hand. Jiho tried to jump across the growing gap, but the ground under his feet gave way. He fell, tumbling down a newly formed ravine. Rocks and dirt fell with him as he rolled down the steep slope. "Captain Kim," he heard Subin cry out. Jiho tried to stop his fall by grabbing at roots and rocks, but the rain made everything slippery. He slid faster and faster down the hillside, away from his team, away from the safety of the shuttle. His head hit something hard, and pain exploded behind his eyes. As darkness took him, his last thought was that he was falling into the unknown depths of an alien world, far from home and help. Above, the storm raged on. The ravine that had swallowed Captain Jiho Kim was soon hidden by fallen trees and mud, separating him from both the human team and the watching Ardovians. The real test of human survival had only just begun. Pain was the first thing Jiho felt when he woke up. His whole body hurt, but his right leg hurt the most. He opened his eyes slowly. It was dark, but some light filtered through the thick purple leaves above him. The storm had passed, but the ground was still wet and muddy. Jiho tried to sit up. Sharp pain shot through his leg, making him gasp. He looked down and saw that his leg was bent at a strange angle just below the knee. It was broken. "Not good," he said to himself. He touched his head and felt dried blood on his temple. His uniform was torn in many places, and he had cuts and bruises everywhere. Jiho looked around. He had fallen far from the landing site, down into a deep jungle area they hadn't explored yet. Tall trees with thick trunks surrounded him. Strange sounds came from the shadows between them. He reached for his communication device, but found it damaged. The screen was cracked, and it wouldn't turn on. Think, Jai-ho, he told himself. First steps in survival. Assess your situation. He checked what he still had. His small backpack had stayed with him during the fall. Inside, he found a water filter, some emergency food bars, a small first aid kit, a knife, and a fire starter. Not much for survival on an alien planet, but better than nothing. First, he needed to deal with his broken leg. Ji-ho knew that if he didn't set it properly, he might never walk normally again. Using his knife, he cut strong branches from nearby trees. He tore strips from the bottom of his uniform jacket to use as ties. With great pain, he set the bone as best he could and made a splint using the branches and cloth. By the time he finished, Jai-ho was sweating and breathing hard from the pain. But the leg was straight now and wouldn't move around. He took a small pain pill from the first aid kit, knowing he needed to save most of them for later. Next, water, he said. Talking to himself helped him stay focused and not panic. He listened carefully and heard the sound of running water not far away. Using a strong stick as a crutch, he hobbled slowly toward the sound. He found a small stream with clear water. Using his filter, he filled his water bottle and drank deeply. The cool water helped him think more clearly. I need to find food and make shelter before night comes, he said, looking at the sky. He had maybe 4 hours of daylight left. Meanwhile, back at the landing site, Su-bin, Ta-woo, and Hae-nul searched frantically for their captain. The ravine is too unstable, Hae-nul said, looking at the collapsed earth where Jai-ho had fallen. We can't follow him that way. Su-bin wiped tears from her eyes. We can't just leave him. He could be hurt or... He's alive, Ta-woo said firmly. Captain Kim is the toughest person I know. If anyone can survive this, it's him. The Ardovians approached the human team. Kel-nar spoke, his voice translated through their devices. Your leader has fallen approximately 30 of your kilometers from here, based on the terrain slope and direction. The probability of survival from such a fall is 8.3%. Hae-nul frowned at the alien. You don't know humans very well. Our captain is stronger than your numbers can show. We wish to assist in your recovery mission, said Kel-nar. We have scanning technology that may help locate your captain's remains. He's not dead. Su-bin snapped, and we will find him alive. The two teams made an uneasy alliance. The Ardovians had better technology for searching, and the humans knew their captain better. They agreed to form a joint rescue party that would set out at dawn. As they prepared their equipment, Su-bin noticed the Ardovians talking among themselves. Their skin changed colors rapidly as they spoke, showing what seemed like agitation. They think this is just a body recovery mission, she whispered to Ta-woo. They don't believe anyone could survive that fall and the jungle below. Ta-woo nodded. Let them think that. They'll be surprised when we find the captain alive and well. As night fell in the jungle, Jai-ho had made progress. He found a large fallen tree that created a natural shelter. He collected large leaves to waterproof the top and sides. Using his fire starter, he made a small fire at the entrance to keep away animals and provide warmth. For food, he had found fruit-like things growing on low bushes. He had watched small animals eat them without problems, so he cautiously tried one. It tasted sweet and didn't make him sick. He collected more for later. Jai-ho knew he needed to leave markers for any rescue team. He tore strips from his undershirt and tied them to branches along his path. He also kept a small journal using the notepad from his survival kit, writing down what he observed about the planet's environment. Day 1 in the jungle, he wrote. Broken right leg, minor head injury. Found water and food. Made basic shelter. Tomorrow, we'll try to find high ground to signal the ship or see a path back to base camp. Before sleeping, Ji-ho checked his leg. It was swollen but set correctly. He took another pain pill and drank some water. Despite everything, he felt a strange sense of calm. Survival situations weren't new to him. Before becoming a space explorer, he had been a wilderness guide on Earth. He knew how to stay alive in harsh conditions. One day at a time, he said to himself as he lay back on his bed of soft leaves. One challenge at a time. The next morning, the rescue party set out. The Ardovians brought floating platforms that carried their equipment easily over the rough terrain. We will use our bioscanners to detect human life signs, Kelnar explained. Though after this time, we expect to find only remains. Hanul ignored the aliens' pessimism. We humans don't give up on each other easily. The captain wouldn't give up on us, and we won't give up on him. As they moved through the forest, the Ardovians kept their distance from the humans. They seemed both fascinated and disturbed by the emotional responses the humans showed. Your attachment to your fallen leader is inefficient, one Ardovian said to Subin. It endangers more lives. Subin shook her head. It's not about efficiency. It's about loyalty and hope. Something you might not understand. The Ardovians said nothing more, but they began using their advanced devices to secretly observe and record the humans' behavior. On his third day in the jungle, Jeho faced a new challenge. He heard strange growling noises following him as he moved through the trees. Something was hunting him. Using his knife, he sharpened another stick into a spear. His broken leg slowed him down, but his mind worked quickly. He found a clearing where he could see in all directions and waited for whatever was stalking him. It came from between two large trees, a six-limbed creature about the size of a large dog. It had sharp teeth and claws, with a lizard-like body covered in thick scales. Its eyes locked onto Jeho, seeing him as prey. Jeho held his ground, spear ready. The creature circled him, looking for weakness. When it finally leaped, Jeho was ready. He drove his spear forward, catching the animal in mid-jump. It howled in pain but kept coming, clawing at him. Jeho fell back, the creature on top of him. Using all his strength, he pushed the spear deeper while keeping the snapping jaws away from his face. With a final thrust, the spear went through the creature's body. It shuddered and then lay still. Jeho pushed the dead animal off him, breathing hard. He had cuts on his arms from its claws, but nothing serious. After resting, he realized the creature could be useful. Its meat could provide food, and its hide could be used for better protection. Using his knife, Jeho carefully skinned the animal and cut strips of meat. He built a fire and cooked the meat, saving some for later. From the hide, he made a crude covering for his injured leg and a pouch to carry his supplies. Day 3, he wrote in his journal. Survived an attack from a predator, using its resources for food and protection. Leg pain is manageable, continuing to move toward higher ground tomorrow. Unknown to Jeho, the Ardovians had located him with their long-range scanners. They watched in stunned silence as the human fought and killed the predator, then used its body for resources. Impossible. Kelnar whispered as they observed through their viewing screen. A broken leg, minimal supplies, no technology. Yet he survives. He adapts. This behavior pattern is disturbing, another Ardovian said. The creative use of limited resources, the rapid adaptation to unknown threats. No species we have studied shows this level of survival instinct. Kelnar's skin turned a pale blue, showing deep concern. We must report this to the collective immediately. These humans, they are different from anything we have encountered. They may have implications for our understanding of evolution itself. The Ardovians began talking rapidly among themselves, their skin changing colors in patterns that showed growing alarm. Nearby, Subin found one of Jeho's markers, a strip of fabric tied to a branch. He's alive, she called to the others. The captain is alive and leaving us a trail. While the humans celebrated this sign of hope, the Ardovians continued their secret observation, growing more disturbed with each display of Jeho's remarkable survival skills. What had begun as a simple scientific mission was quickly becoming something much more significant for both species. 5 days had passed since Captain Jeho Kim fell into the jungle. His legs still hurt, But he had gotten used to moving with his makeshift crutch. Each day, he grew stronger and more confident in this alien world. This morning, Jiho noticed something wrong with his arm. Where one of the predator's claws had scratched him, the skin was red and swollen. Small purple lines spread from the wound. Some kind of infection. "Not good," he said, touching the hot skin gently. "I need medicine." Jiho had studied the plants around him for days. He remembered seeing one with leaves that felt cool to the touch. The local animals would rub against it when they had injuries. He hobbled through the jungle until he found this plant. He picked several leaves and crushed them into a paste. The juice smelled strong but not bad. Jiho spread the paste on his infected wound and wrapped it with a clean strip of cloth. He would have to wait and see if it worked. By midday, the pain in his arm had lessened. The purple lines had stopped spreading. The plant medicine was working. "Thank you, alien plant," Jiho said with a smile. He collected more leaves to use later. Jiho had set up a better camp now. He found a small cave near a stream. Inside, he made a bed of soft leaves and grass. Outside, he built a fire pit with stones. He had created several tools: a better spear, a bowl made from hard fruit shells, and a bag from animal skin to carry water. Every day, he climbed the tallest hill nearby to look for signs of his team or their ship. Every night, he kept a fire burning as a signal. He never lost hope that they would find him. Meanwhile, the rescue team moved slowly through the difficult terrain. The Ardovians watched the human team members with growing unease. Their emotional connection to their lost leader makes no logical sense. Kel-Nar said to his assistants, "They risked their lives for a very small chance of success." "Humans are not logical," replied the assistant. "They are unpredictable and dangerous." The Ardovians continued to secretly monitor Jiho through their advanced technology. What they saw disturbed them more each day. The human has adapted to the environment in just 5 days. Kel-Nar reported to his ship. He created tools, found food and water, built shelter, and even treated his own infection with local plants he had never seen before. This level of adaptation should take generations of evolution, not days of individual learning. The Ardovian leaders on their home ship sent new orders. Learn everything about human adaptability. This species could be a threat to the natural order of evolution. Prepare containment protocols. Dr. Subin noticed that the Ardovians spent more time watching their screens than helping with the search. She grew suspicious and mentioned it to Ta-Wu and Hainul when the aliens weren't listening. "I think they're hiding something," she whispered. "They keep looking at their devices and turning blue, which I think means they're worried about something." "I don't trust them," Hainul said. "They claim to help us find the captain, but they don't seem to care if we actually find him alive." Ta-Wu nodded. "Let's watch them carefully. And let's keep some details of our search plan to ourselves." That night, while the Ardovians thought the humans were sleeping, Subin pretended to get water, but actually went close enough to hear their conversation. The translator picked up some of their words. "Humans are an evolutionary anomaly. Adaptive capacity exceeds all known species. Potential threat to the collective. Cannot allow contact with other worlds." Subin quietly returned to her team and told them what she had heard. "They're afraid of us," Hainul said. "But why?" "I think they see something in humans that scares them," Subin replied. "Something about how quickly we adapt to new situations. If they feel threatened by us, they might not want us to find the captain at all," Ta-Wu said grimly. On the morning of the 6th day, Jiho woke to a strange feeling. He sensed he was being watched. His years of wilderness training had given him sharp instincts. Someone or something was observing him. Jiho pretended not to notice. He went about his morning routine, checking his leg, drinking water, eating some fruit, and preparing to move. But he kept his spear close. As he left his cave, he caught a glimpse of something metal floating between the trees, some kind of device, not natural to this world. It moved away quickly when he looked at it. So that's how it is, Jai-Ho said quietly. They're watching me. He wasn't sure who they were, maybe the Ardovians, maybe some other alien species, but he knew he needed to be more careful now. Jai-Ho decided to test his watchers. He deliberately took a path toward thicker jungle, then doubled back quietly. Soon, he spotted the floating device following his original path. It was small and silver, with a lens that glowed blue. A camera, he realized. Someone was recording his every move. Instead of feeling scared, Jai-Ho felt a surge of determination. If they wanted to watch him survive, he would give them a show they would never forget. Back at the rescue team's camp, the situation was growing tense. Newell discovered the Ardovians tampering with the humans' communication equipment. "What are you doing to our radio?" he demanded, his hand moving to his weapon. The Ardovian jumped back, its skin turning a deep purple color. "Routine inspection," it said. "Your technology is primitive. We fought to improve it. Without asking us." Newell's voice was hard. "Step away from our equipment now." Su Bin and Tai Wu quickly joined him. The three humans faced the 5 Ardovians in a tense standoff. Kelnar's skin shifted through several colors before settling on a pale blue. "We have received new instructions from our collective. The human species presents certain concerns." "What concerns?" Su Bin asked. "Your adaptive capabilities exceed normal evolutionary patterns. Your Captain Kim has demonstrated survival skills that would take other species millions of years to evolve. This suggests humans are an unpredictable element in the galactic ecosystem." "So what are you saying?" Ta Wu demanded. "We have been ordered to ensure that humans do not leave this planet until the collective decides how to respond to your species." Newell drew his weapon. "You're planning to trap us here." "It is a temporary containment while we study your kind further," Kelnar said calmly. "Please understand, this is standard protocol for potentially dangerous new species." "Dangerous?" Su Bin laughed without humor. "Because we can adapt to survive." "Because you can adapt too quickly," Kelnar replied. "No species we have ever encountered can improvise solutions like humans do. It is unsettling." Suddenly, their argument was interrupted by a beeping sound from Ta Wu's damaged communication device. Everyone froze. "That's impossible," Ta Wu whispered. He picked up the device and adjusted some settings. A crackly voice came through, faint but recognizable. "Base camp. This is Captain Kim. Can anyone hear me? I am alive and moving toward the North Ridge." Repeat, alive and moving north. The human team members cheered. Jai-Ho was alive, and he had somehow fixed his communication device enough to send a weak signal. The Ardovians backed away, their skin changing to a color the humans had never seen before, a pale, almost white blue that seemed to indicate extreme distress. He fixed a complex communication device with primitive tools in a hostile environment. One Ardovian whispered, "This confirms our worst fears." Kelnar turned to his team. "We must return to our ship immediately. This situation exceeds our containment protocols." "You're running away?" Newell asked in disbelief. "We are re-evaluating," Kelnar replied. "A species with your adaptive capabilities requires higher authorization for contact protocols." The Ardovians began packing their equipment with frantic speed. Their movements, usually smooth and precise, were now jerky and rushed. Su Bin looked at her fellow humans with a smile growing on her face. "They're afraid," she said. "They're actually afraid of us, or more specifically, afraid of what Captain Kim has shown them humans can do." Just as the Ardovians finished gathering their things, a rustling came from the bushes at the edge of their camp. Everyone turned to look. Captain Jai-Ho Kim emerged from the forest. He looked thin and weathered. His uniform was torn and replaced in parts by animal skins. His right leg was in a carefully crafted splint. He carried a spear in one hand and a makeshift bag in the other. His face was scratched and sunburned, but his eyes were clear and alert. "Hello," he said calmly. "I see you found me." The human team rushed forward to help their captain, joy clear on their faces. The Ardovians moved back, their skin turning whiter by the second, their silver eyes wide with what could only be described as fear. Jai-Ho looked at the aliens with understanding in his eyes. "You've been watching me, haven't you? Those were your devices in the forest." Kel-Nar couldn't seem to find words. Another Ardovian responded, "Yes, we observed your survival methods." Jai-Ho nodded. "And now you're afraid, because you've never seen anything like us before." The Ardovians didn't answer. Instead, they backed away toward their small ship, never taking their eyes off the human who had survived what they considered impossible odds. The hunter had indeed become the hunted, not in the physical sense, but in a way that would forever change how the Ardovian collective viewed the strange, adaptable species called humans. The human team gathered around Captain Jai-Ho Kim. Su-Bin quickly checked his injuries, her medical training taking over despite her joy at finding him alive. "Your lay has been set well," she said with surprise. "Did you do this yourself?" Jai-Ho nodded. "I had to. It was broken in the fall." "And this plant paste on your arm?" she asked, examining the green mixture covering a wound. "Local medicine," Jai-Ho explained. "I got infected from a predator's claw. The plant draws out the poison." Taiwu shook his head in amazement. "You created medicine from unknown plants on an alien world. That's incredible." "I watched the local animals," Jai-Ho said simply. "They showed me which plants could heal." Hanul helped Jai-Ho sit down by their campfire. The captain looked tired, but his eyes were clear and alert. He took a drink from the water bottle Hanul offered him. "How did you survive out there?" Su-Bin asked, still checking his other wounds. "One day at a time," Jai-Ho replied. "I focused on the basics: shelter, water, food, fire. Everything else was just solving problems as they came." Meanwhile, the Ardovians huddled near their ship, watching the humans from a distance. Their skin shifted through various shades of blue as they spoke rapidly among themselves. They seemed unable to decide whether to leave immediately or continue their observation. Kel-Nar finally approached the human group, moving cautiously as if Jai-Ho might be dangerous. "Captain Kim," the alien said, "your survival is unexpected. Our calculations gave you less than 8.3% chance of living through the fall, let alone surviving 6 days in an unknown environment with a broken leg." Jai-Ho looked at the alien calmly. "Numbers can't measure human determination, Kel-Nar." "So we have observed," the Ardovian replied. "We have been monitoring your activities." "I know," Jai-Ho said. "I found your devices following me." Kel-Nar's skin turned a deeper blue. "You detected our surveillance technology." "How?" Jai-Ho smiled slightly. "I felt something watching me. Old instinct from my days as a wilderness guide on Earth. Then I set a trap to confirm it." The Ardovians seemed disturbed by this answer. "Instinct? You mean you sensed our technology without seeing it?" "Sometimes humans just know things," Jai-Ho said. "We call it gut feeling." This seemed to upset the Ardovian even more. It turned to its companions and made a series of musical sounds. They responded with urgent tones, their skin flashing different colors. Su-Bin finished treating Jai-Ho's wounds and sat beside him. "They're afraid of us," she whispered. "I overheard them talking. They think humans are some kind of evolutionary threat." Jai-Ho nodded. "I figured that out. They don't understand how I survived." Just then, Ta-Wu's communication device beeped. "It's the Horizon," he said excitedly. "They fixed the landing shuttle and are coming to pick us up. They'll be here in about 3 hours." The news should have been happy, but the Ardovians reacted with alarm. Kel-Nar approached again. "You plan to leave this planet?" the alien asked. "Of course," Hanul replied. "Our mission is complete, and our captain needs proper medical care." "We cannot permit this," Kel-Nar said. "The Ardovian collective has classified humans as a Class 1 evolutionary anomaly. You must remain here until proper containment protocols are established. Haynul's hand moved to his weapon. You can't keep us here against our will. Please understand, Kelnar said, his tone almost pleading. Your species represents an unknown factor in galactic evolution. Your adaptive capabilities exceed all known patterns. Jai-Ho raised his hand, stopping Haynul from drawing his weapon. Let me handle this, he said quietly. Then to Kelnar, tell me exactly what concerns you about humans. The Ardovian seemed surprised by the direct question. Your ability to improvise solutions with minimal resources. Your capacity to observe and learn from alien life forms in days, not generations. Your instincts that detect threats without technological aid. Kelnar's skin rippled with colors. These traits should not exist together in one species. Jai-Ho considered this. You're afraid we might be more adaptable than your people. All species in our database follow predictable evolutionary paths. Kelnar explained. They develop specific adaptations for specific environments over millions of years. But humans, the alien skin turned almost white. Humans adapt through behavior, not physical evolution. You think your way through problems instead of evolving to avoid them. It is deeply concerning. Jai-Ho laughed softly. That's just what humans do, Kelnar. We call it creativity. Before the alien could respond, a high-pitched sound came from their ship. All the Ardovians turned, their skin flashing with alarm colors. Our leaders have made a decision, Kelnar announced. We are ordered to leave immediately and establish a quarantine of this sector. No Ardovian ships will enter human space until further notice. You're running away? Haynul asked, surprised. We are taking necessary precautions, Kelnar replied. A species with your potential requires special protocols. The Ardovians backed toward their ship, never turning away from the humans. Before entering, Kelnar paused. Captain Kim, the alien said, what you did in the jungle, surviving against all calculated odds. It was just human nature, Jai-Ho finished for him. That is what frightens us, Kelnar said simply. Then the alien turned and entered the ship. The humans watched as the teardrop-shaped vessel rose silently into the air and shot away into the clouds. They're really scared of us, Tawu said, amazed. An advanced alien civilization with technology far beyond ours, and they ran away. They ran because of what you showed them, Captain, Subin said. Your survival scared them more than any weapon could. Jai-Ho shook his head. They don't understand humans. They see everything through the lens of evolution and biology. They can't grasp that our strength isn't in our bodies. It's in our minds and spirits. The team helped Jai-Ho to a more comfortable position and shared their rations with him. As they waited for the shuttle, they talked about what had happened and what it meant. Do you think we'll see the Ardovians again? Subin asked. Maybe someday, Jai-Ho replied, when they had time to study us from a safe distance. But I think they'll keep other alien species away from Earth for now. They seem to think we're dangerous. Are we dangerous? Tawu wondered. Jai-Ho looked thoughtful. Not in the way they think. We don't want to conquer or harm other species. But we are different. We don't just accept our limits. We find ways around them. That's hard for them to understand. 3 hours later, the shuttle from the horizon landed in the clearing. The medical team rushed out to help Captain Kim. As they carried him toward the shuttle on a stretcher, Jai-Ho looked back at the jungle where he had survived against all odds. Make sure all my notes and journals are collected, he told Subin. Everything I learned about the plants and animals here. It could be valuable. Even your handmade tools, she asked, holding up his spear and the bag made from animal hide. Especially those, Jai-Ho said with a smile. They're proof of what humans can do with almost nothing. Once aboard the shuttle, the team settled in for the flight back to the horizon. Jai-Ho was given proper medical treatment, but the doctor was amazed at how well he had cared for his own injuries. You're lucky to be alive, Captain. the doctor said. Not luck, Jai-Ho replied. Determination, and a little bit of human ingenuity. As the shuttle rose through the atmosphere, leaving planet HFY 379 behind, Jai-Ho began recording his official report. He spoke clearly despite his exhaustion. This mission has given us more than scientific data. It has revealed how other intelligent species might view humanity. The Ardovians feared us not for our technology or our numbers, but for our adaptability, our refusal to accept defeat even in the most hopeless situations. They saw in us something they couldn't understand, a species that evolved not just physical traits, but the mental ability to overcome any obstacle through creativity and determination. They called us an evolutionary anomaly. Perhaps we are. But this is what makes us human. We don't just survive. We find ways to thrive. We see problems as challenges, not limits. And that might be our greatest strength as we move further into the stars. Jai-Ho paused, looking out the window at the stars appearing as they left the planet's atmosphere. The Ardovians fled in terror after witnessing the humans' survival instincts. But someday I hope they'll return, not as fearful observers, but as friends who understand that the same creativity that helped me survive could help our species work together to solve the mysteries of the universe. As the shuttle docked with the horizon, Jai-Ho finished his report with a final thought. Perhaps what the Ardovians fear most isn't what humans are now, but what we might become. And that future is something even I can't predict.